What's up, guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, TV shows. So let's dive right in. Speaking of TV shows, and talk about episode 4 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. So this episode was directed by Carl Weathers, and he was obviously back as Grief Karga. And this was a pretty good episode. This was a pretty good episode. Now I'm going to just be real. There was a little bit, probably near the end of the second act, the beginning of the third act, where I started to just lose interest for just a second. And it was while they were running around in the... where they were running around and, fighting troopers. They were running around in the lab fighting troopers. I just, for whatever reason, it just seemed very, I don't know, it just seemed very familiar. And I think that's the point. I think that's honestly the point that Carl Weathers was going for here, was that it did feel familiar. It did, and I'm telling you, this episode felt, in a lot of ways, like A New Hope. You had the team running around the lab, not Death Star, but still very similar on the inside, and they had to shut down. They had to shut something down out on a walkway while evading stormtroopers, while eventually getting into a fight, and running to try to escape, while at the same time fighting their way out. A lot of it really did feel like A New Hope, even to the point where once they were out, they were on their ship, the Millennium Falcon, and they were being pursued by TIE fighters, and in this case also stormtroopers on speeder bikes. It was very, in my opinion, it was very A New Hope-ish in the way it was structured and the way it was executed. So that was fun. That was fine. Like I said, in some ways it was something that was really good because I really enjoyed that component of it. And in other ways it kind of felt a little familiar, and I kind of, maybe looked at my watch once, near that beginning of the third act, like, let's move it, come on. So I don't know, it's nitpicky. It's really nitpicky, because the reality is I really liked this episode a lot. It's not my favorite episode of the season, but I really liked it a lot. And this episode told us a whole lot about what's coming, about what really the end game is, as far as Moff Gideon. So when they were in the lab, I'm pretty sure where this is going now, because when we were in the lab, we saw clones. And if I'm not mistaken, the first thing I thought was, is that the Emperor? Is that one of the Emperor's clones? But I don't think it was the Emperor. And maybe it was, but I don't think it was. I really think it was Snoke. I think that they're creating Snoke here. And the reason why I think it's Snoke instead of the Emperor, because, kind of my belief here on how the Emperor survived was that he was able to transfer his essence into a clone body of him. Fine, I'm pretty sure that's the answer. But remember, Snoke kind of becomes the head of the First Order while Palpatine's pulling the strings, and we know for a fact Snoke is a clone because we've seen failed versions of the clone in Rise of Skywalker. So I'm pretty sure that's Snoke. I'm pretty sure that's Snoke that we saw. And also, they made it very clear they wanted to harvest the child's blood for the midichlorians, or the M count. We all know what it is, right? We all know that it's midichlorians. But they wanted to harvest the blood from the child to get the midichlorian count, to get the midichlorian blood, so they can give a transfusion to something or someone. In this case, I don't know if it was the clone or if it was the volunteer that they were referring to, but somebody's getting a blood transfusion, probably so they can have force powers. That's kind of my guess here, is that they want to be able to give somebody force powers. That's kind of where I think they're going. And I think where they're going here is that they need to make sure that Snoke has force powers, so they're going to inject Snoke with this high, blood with a high midichlorian count. Makes sense. It makes sense. So we'll see where they're going to go with this. This episode also told us a lot about Gideon's tactics. So he's got a tracker on the Razor Crest, and he is following it now. And at the end, looked like the first thing I thought at the end when he was in that hallway, it looked like maybe battle droids. Was it battle droids designed to resemble Vader? Is that what we was looking at there? I don't really know for sure. That's what it looked like to me. Battle droids who were designed to resemble Vader. And if that's the case, that would just be wild. That would be wild. Yeah, this episode really told us a lot about what's coming and what the end game is as far as Gideon. It was nice to see Cara Dune back. She had a really nice physical scene early on in the episode that was a lot of fun to watch, and she just does a great job with her physicality in general. Love seeing her action scenes, and she's really grown as an actress as well. Good episode, guys. Good episode. It was great seeing Cara Dune and Grief Karga back. It was great seeing the blue-skinned, scaly guy. I forget his name. But it was great seeing him back for all the way back from the first episode of The Mandalorian. This was a lot of fun. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda, when he's in that little classroom, and he force grabs those cookies, those macaroons, because apparently macaroons are a thing all over the galaxy. and then when they're on the Razor Crest and they're fighting the TIE fighters and they go up and they go down, to see his reaction, I laughed. I chuckled gleefully multiple times at Baby Yoda's reactions and actions in this episode. Just a lot of fun. So, yeah, great episode again. They've been killing it this season. And yeah, no complaints here whatsoever. Other than the fact that I did feel that it got a little bit it just kind of wandered briefly into territory that was a little bit too familiar. But that's okay. That's okay. That's something that The Mandalorian has been doing for a while now. Kind of, especially. And this episode did a lot better than the episode in season 1 where he was on Tatooine, and they just happened to be in Mos Eisley. I mean, this episode did a lot better than that. So, great episode. Loved what Carl Weathers did here. Can't wait to see more directing jobs. Can't wait to see more directing efforts from Carl Weathers. I think he definitely showed promise here, and just a good episode overall. So, what did you think of episode 4, season 2 of The Mandalorian? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I definitely enjoy getting into dialogues with people about the stuff that we're both fans of. So you leave a comment and we can get a conversation going. And make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you for joining me here at the Oki Review, where we get to talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff that we love to talk about. Until next time, we'll see you later.